Hello and welcome back to my channel. I've been away for a little while. I haven't done any YouTube videos for, it must be 6 months. I've been very busy just creating and my work, my job and all of that. So I just haven't really had a lot of spare time to be recording videos. But I'm delighted to be back again with another Fodder School hop in conjunction with several other people. We'll be each doing a kind of showcase video, if you like, of the 6 months, the first 6 months of Fodder School 2, and just showing you, taking you through the projects that we've been doing over that period. The last video I did, in fact, was a video hop for Fodder School 1. So I'll put the link to that below. What you'll also find below in the video description is a link to all of the other people that are participating in this hop, so you can go and have a look at their showcase of projects as well. So let's get started. Let me just clear away some space here so we have room to kind of really show you what we've been working on. Okay, so the first one I'd like to share with you is where we started last October 2022, and this was with Rebecca Sawyer. And this is actually the kind of finished article. I actually made a set of these, and I called them my friendship series. And I gave one of these each to some of our best, closest friends here in Dubai. I gave them as a gift at Christmas. We decided to give gifts this year rather than ones that we made, rather than bought gifts. So this was part of that idea. So essentially this month we explored lots of different ways of creating fodder papers. We used the jelly plate, which is one of my favorite things to do. So I absolutely love this. Was a great start to Fodder School 2 for me, especially. So these were collages that we then created with the fodder that we had made in the first half of the month. We then made these lovely collage pieces. I added some other collage tissue paper. I had some stitching to mine as well. This is actually, I don't know if you can see that with the frame and the glass on there, but that's actually drawn lines, and then I followed the line with my sewing machine and put some stitching in there as well. And then I added the wording friendship onto the full series. And then in November, we did some amazing printed paper, again using jelly plate, which I absolutely love. And we had a fantastic time making these books. So these books are old children's hardback board books, I think they're called. I think you can buy them blank as well, but we used two children's books, and you can see that both of my books were called, one was Ring a Ring of Roses and the other one was I'm a Dingle Dongle Scarecrow. So that's what I called my finished journaled books. So basically we spent the first half of the month creating these lovely jelly prints, using nice sort of bold colours, which I absolutely loved and was kind of a little bit of a different thing for me. Then we basically collaged the papers into the book, and of course we added, as we do, media mixed artists, added some mark making and some additional collaging pieces as well, in some cases some wording. And this was the one that I suppose was a little bit more out of my comfort zone, because it was using this sort of very bold colours and shapes. But I really did enjoy this month with Drew. This is one of Laker's stencils, which I absolutely love. She's also a great mixed media artist. But that was great. That was the Ring a Ring of Roses book. And then probably a little bit more my look and feel, if you like. And I used some of the papers, the tissue prints that we created in the first month with Rebecca Sawyer, and I mixed those up, and I did a few different colour type, and this was more of a kind of vintage muted book, if you like. Some of the papers weren't quite as bold as the first one, and this is my kind of, I love vintage, everything vintage I love. So this was I love this. I created some vintage collages on top of the pages. Here's some Megan stencils that I actually did not create specifically for these pages, but they just happened, these were ones I created a while ago, just happened to go, the colours just seemed to go really well with these pages. This was more kind of neutrals. Again, adding some wording. So that was another great month with Drew. Really enjoyed that. Then our next month we had the lovely Wendy. And for this month, because I think it was December, so we were coming up to Christmas, and we were making bits of fodder and shapes, cut out shapes, and creating these lovely greeting cards. So again, this formed part of the Christmas gift package I gave my friends. They all had a set of handmade cards. So I did some thank you cards. And of course, I did some Christmas cards. I think there's some more Christmas cards in here somewhere. Yeah, there we go. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. And these were all done beautiful envelopes where we decorated the inside. Unfortunately, I gave all of those away, so I don't have any of those to show you. But I'll share a photograph of those ones that I made. And then I made these Happy Cake Day cards. Again, these are all using scraps of paper fodder that we had made in previous classes and previous fodder schools, and they made a great gift card. So I'm obviously going to be using those for my giving away to my friends. Another great month. And then in January, this was, I have to say, was probably one of my favourite months, I have to say, because it was kind of right up my street in terms of the look and feel of the finished product. It was grungy, vintage. It was grungy, vintage. The techniques that we used to create these lovely papers are like nothing I've ever done before. And at that, I absolutely loved making the papers for this, and definitely something I will revisit again. We made, the final project was this kind of portfolio, if you like. I made this sort of tag, which I attached to the front. And then the whole folio itself is made up of tucks and pockets and so much yumminess. There's a big pocket here in the centre that I added in, and in the pocket are all the little bits and pieces that I have left over from the papers that we created. I actually don't have a lot left of the papers. I've just used them in various projects, and we created all of these lovely pieces of collage fodder with the papers. These are stitched. On some of them we've put, this is one of the wonky bits from Wendy's class. This is just a photo cut out. So again, probably one of my favourite months, I have to say, purely because I just love the look of the finished product itself. It's just so grungy and vintage. I loved it. So that was January, and I think from that I so enjoyed working with the papers. I created this little journal in addition to what we had done, with Liz. Liz Constable was the teacher. So I used some of the papers and some additional tea dye paper I had and created this little journal. So I'll definitely be working in that little journal over the next few months. And then we had Lucy Duclos, which again is a technique. We learned techniques that I've never done before, using wax. I won't say much more than that, but these lovely collages. Again, we created some beautiful papers on tissue, and created these. I think she did hers on a sort of hardboard, a wooden board. I had these canvases left over from Fodder School one, so I've put mine on canvases. So I created this sort of set of 3, and again, a great month, because it was just a fantastic technique I'd never ever tried before. You can see the sort of the wax finish on here. It just feels so nice as well. So absolutely loved doing that. The other thing I want to kind of point out, if you haven't noticed, is that for Fodder School 2, I had decided to really keep to a particular palette, the colours that I gravitate towards most and really have enjoyed using. And you can probably tell by this project specifically what those colours are. Those sort of teals and greens and ochres and blues and greens and all of those, that sort of colour palette. So I've been trying to kind of, almost a challenge for myself really, to try and work with that palette more, because I love it so much. I have missed the pinks and the reds and the oranges, but then I have the ochre, so that's helped. But of course I do projects outside of Fodder School, so in those cases I tend to expand my palette somewhat. But for the Fodder School lessons, I really have tried to keep to a specific palette. And then the final sort of 6-month project, which is March's project. This is where I suppose I don't keep to my palette, because it wasn't really conducive to that. But I definitely want to make another one of these, because having seen some of the interpretations done by other students, this has so many variations and opportunities to do different types of book. This was more about altering vintage photos. So we created this little album called Altered Ancestors. Some of these photos are my own family photos. This one is a family photo. The one on the front is a family photo. I believe this handsome chap here is my grandfather, and of course his sister and brother, and my great grandma and granddad. I believe this is one of my great aunts, although I'm not exactly sure, but she's definitely one of my from my photo album. And then other photos I've downloaded. Some were from Lucy's site herself. Others were ones I'd got from Graphics Fairy and other various places. So this was all about altering photographs in different ways, using cutting out, painting, that kind of thing. We did a nighttime scene for one, and we did, this was cutting out the background of the photo and replacing it with a different background. This guy to me looked like a kind of architect or something, so kind of it felt like a good background for that. This one again was cutting out part of the photo and replacing the background, and here I used some gold foiling, and then I actually added some more of the gold foil on this sort of curtain on the left hand side, just to sort of balance it out a little bit. This was a downloaded photo, this isn't a family photo. And then this one was again replacing the background, so cutting out the background and replacing that. And the same here. She has a book that's for sale that shows you all of these techniques as well, how to do them, which is great. And then in the back here, I also took an opportunity, because I love doing digital art as well, playing around with photos and stuff like that. some of the stuff in here. This one is an altered, physical altered one. So is this one. But these are all done in on my computer, so with Photoshop. So I superimposed. She in the class she did a sort of rubbing transfer, photo transfer. I could never get those to work. I don't have a laser printer, so it was quite difficult. I was really having trouble, so I reverted to another skill of mine, which is sort of Photoshop. So I've added some photos onto other vintage ephemera and created those. And then I found these wonderful things on Graphics Fairy. So those, I collected and printed out a load of those, which I thought I'll keep those in here. So this has kind of become my, almost my photograph related ephemera. Again, there's some more in here. This was one where we cut out an element of the photo and kind of moved it out of the picture, if you like. So that boy there was cut out from here and moved across. And then some more photos that I could use to alter at a later point. And then I added in these little pockets, which Lucy hadn't got in her class, but sorry, Jane Chip. Sorry, I completely got mixed up. It's Jane Chip that did this lesson. It's so confusing. There's so many fantastic teachers. This is Jane Chip's lesson. So Jane had also created these pockets. She created pockets on the pages and put little tags in with instructions of how to do each of the altered photos. So instead of doing that, I have actually created these again on my computer. These are little paperclip covered tags, and on the back I have printed the instructions of how to do each of the techniques. So that one is obviously a blank one, but I found these lovely photos of vintage photographers, and I found a whole load of them. So I all free, just downloaded from the internet. And then on the back of those, I had added the instructions like that onto each one of those. So later, at a later date, when I want to create some more of them, I can refer to these cards and make some more. But this is that was a great great project to finish on. And it closes a bit like a matchbox to make a vintage album. So thank you for joining me on this little video hop of Fodder School 2. If you are a budding mixed media artist or you want to learn some fantastic new techniques, I would definitely recommend signing up for Fodder School 2. It's not too late. You have lifetime access to the courses. There's also Fodder School 1. You can still subscribe to that as well. Again, I'll put a link to my previous video on Fodder School 1. Yeah, and I hope you really enjoyed that. Feel free to leave some comments. Please like and follow my YouTube channel. I promise that over the next 6 months I won't be so absent, and I will try and do a few more videos for you. Thanks very much. Bye for now.